Now, given that Disney and Lucasfilm are developing over a dozen Star Wars projects, which may sound like a lot, but it is a mixture of live action and animated material that's going to be run all by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Tony Gilroy, Timothy Zahn, and George Lucas, and all these members becoming a part of the quote-unquote dream team of the Star Wars franchise to really shift away from Kathleen Kennedy's input into what she's doing with Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte series. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and what's really intriguing about what's been going on with recent developments involving Skeleton Crew has a lot to do with the character of Djarin, Pedro Pascal, and the whole fired situation that he got involved in with Kathleen Kennedy, and how it also now involves actor KARL. Now, you guys may recall we talked about this before in the past, about how Urban was supposed to take over the role of Din Djarin for a helmetless scene that eventually fell apart because there were too many scenes with Katie Sackhoff portraying Bo-Katan on set. For those of you that don't know, both Katie and KARL dated for a while, and it would have made things awkward. That's why he backed out of that. And he was actually specifically instructed by Disney to completely deny any involvement about him portraying Din Djarin. Now, what's interesting about all of this is that this is now resurfacing, and it is now getting kickstarted again by no other than Kathleen Kennedy herself. And this is, of course, something that I think a lot of fans are going to have conflicted feelings over, and we're going to be diving into the specifics right now. So, with Kathleen Kennedy still having issues with Skeleton Crew as a whole to this day, after firing Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin for his cameos due to multiple factors, Kennedy has recently been begging Pedro Pascal to return for his role as Din Djarin for the Skeleton Crew cameos, but Pedro has refused to return to her production after what she did to him. Now Kathleen Kennedy is said to be in the talks with actor KARL Urban, and that he is very interested in filling in for Pedro Pascal's cameo as Din Djarin, without the helmet on for a couple of scenes. Now, the only obstacle here that KARL faces is his scheduling conflicts with the hit TV show The Boys. KARL was initially aimed to take over as Din Djarin from Mando Season 3, but that all fell apart quite fast after Katie's role as Bo-Katan was going to be on set plenty. Now, the context of the scenes that KARL is aimed to portray for Din Djarin in Skeleton Crew is a helmetless scene in which Din Djarin is fighting and taking on the pirate gang on a strange new world. Now, before I get to the next big development about this, now, I don't know about you guys, but I think that KARL would be making a mistake here by signing up for a Kathleen Kennedy project. Look, I'm all for KARL taking on the role of Din Djarin for a helmetless scene. I'm really in support of that. But what I'm not supporting here, and what I do not advocate, is how KARL is in the process of signing up for Kathleen Kennedy's Skeleton Crew to take on that role. Now look, maybe the scene is going to be executed well, maybe it's going to be well crafted, who knows. But given that it is a Kathleen Kennedy driven project, I don't believe it's going to turn out great once they go through with all of this. Now, we know that Kathleen Kennedy initially, and I say initially, had plans to kill off Din Djarin in Skeleton Crew. This got backfired. This got a big backlash from the Disney executives against Kathleen Kennedy to the point where she had to pull it, get rid of those ideas on script, and basically create a new ending for Din Djarin's cameo in Skeleton Crew. Now, a lot of this now, like I said before, has much to do with Vane the pirate. He's going to be the new captain of this pirate gang in Skeleton Crew and one of the main villains. In fact, he's going to be the main villain of Skeleton Crew, so just keep that in mind there. Now, moving to the next thing here, alright? On top of this is reportedly going to be last-minute filming since they intend to release Skeleton Crew by this holiday season. Urban has already, of course, and has until this August if he wants to back out or not of the deal, but he is said to have already signed up for the role of a face reveal of Din Djarin. KARL has been instructed by Disney and Kathy to completely deny any involvement in Star Wars as Din Djarin, as he has done so previously when he was signing up for Mando Season 3, of Mando that eventually fell apart. Now, with Urban now filling in for a action-packed scene, the context of his helmet removal is said to be brief but caused by one of the pirates using some kind of Beskar weapon that was stolen against Din's helmet that knocks it right off of his head. Din in this scene is said to have a tough fight against the pirate gang on the specific mysterious world. Now, what's interesting about this, and I think a lot of fans need to be aware immediately, is that KARL Urban is a great actor. I want to just put it out there. I love the guy. I think he's a great actor. I think he has a lot of talent. But I think that he's making a very big mistake here. And to be very specific, I support him becoming Din Djarin, even for a brief face reveal of Din Djarin as a character. But what I don't support is how he's signing up for Kathleen Kennedy's take on Din Djarin, and I don't know if he realizes that there is a difference between Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars and John and Dave's Star Wars, so he might not really know the differential of those two sides of the franchise, right? So when you look at stuff like this also, we gotta remember that KARL Urban is well known for a lot of sci-fi epics and a lot of sci-fi roles. And let's also not forget that he has been in a lot of things before. And this would very well taint his career, I believe, if not handled properly. And now again, it all depends on execution. We know that initially John Watts, who is the showrunner of Skeleton Crew, he wanted to make Din Djarin into a comedic character, almost like a Tony Stark figure in Skeleton Crew back when Pedro Pascal was working on his cameo scenes before he was fired. That fell apart too because Disney really gave them a very big backlash against that overall approach of how they wanted to essentially Marvelize Din Djarin. It would have been handled incorrectly, it would have been out of place. So let's just cross our fingers that if KARL Urban does not back out of this deal and sticks with this, that they do not Marvelize the character, that they do not mishandle the character, and that at least this scene alone in Skeleton Crew is going to hold some kind of value to the series as a whole. Now, we've talked about Skeleton Crew plenty here, that it is a show that's going to be very lackluster. The overall thrill of the Star Wars universe is not really there. It's different. It's very bland, reportedly. Very much like the Acolyte series. You gotta remember that these are 100% Kathleen Kennedy TV shows that have no elements of George Lucas, Jon Favreau, or Dave Filoni. And even Jon Favreau, for a time, and even still to this day, has been in the works of kind of regulating some specific scenes of both the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, but I don't believe it's going to make near or anywhere near of a difference, so we'll have to wait and see for that as well. So overall, guys, I would really like to hear your input on KARL below in the comments. Do you think he's making a mistake here? Do you believe he's making a good call? And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.